a great view from here. Good-looking Macedonians. I'm going to change the position here, just to be original. I'm going to ask you to do something. Do you give me permission? Yeah? Can you stand up? Can you switch positions? Just change your positions so that you're close to someone you don't know. Okay? So it's a very short task, okay? We're going to make it very fast. So what I would like you to do is to choose a couple. If you find yourself alone, you just go in a group and build a threesome. And you are going to describe who are you, okay? And you are going to do it without explaining what's your name, from where you come, and what you did before. So that doesn't matter from now on, okay? So try to use 1 or 2 words, let's say. So starting now. Okay, be sure to switch to the other person. Okay, are we done? Yes? Okay, thank you. So now you can return to your original space. Thank you. So how many of you said something about what you like? Can you raise your hand if you said what you like to your couples? Okay, so let's say so far like 20%. So then the rest of you did say something about what you did in the past, right? It looks like. Okay. So that's very bad, actually. If you want to be a real entrepreneur, start getting used to introduce yourself for what you love, not what you did, because what you did is not what is going to take you to the next level. It is what you love. So if you introduce yourself as a person that likes cooking, as a parent, or etc., it's a very original way of transferring a lot of meaning about who you are. Okay. So I'm not going to introduce myself, and I'm not going to say what I like, but I would like you to guess out of this presentation. Okay? Cool. So, well, it happens that I'm some kind of a cat. I had a lot of lives. And in my previous life, I was an IT professional. I was born in Peru. And after 28 years, I got in love with one girl. And that led me to Slovenia, where I'm living now. And I always loved computers and all these things, so I started a business. But if you see in the photo, what I really wanted to do is to build a team. And the business was just a reason, right, like a pretext, in order to create a team of people. So the business was going great. In just a few years, it grew. We were 5 persons, fully employed. And I really thought I was doing an amazing job as an IT professional. We made international conferences in the town where I live. That is a very small town, rural area. And I brought people from all the world, basically, to speak about technology. That is what I liked at that moment. But then happened something quite interesting. My company collapsed. And I didn't know what the hell happened. But amazingly, when it collapsed, one of my customers called me and said, hey, Jose, can you come to New York? We need to show you a project, and maybe we can find a cooperation. And when I arrived to New York, I liked it a lot. And they offered me the possibility of moving there, okay? Now, you have to imagine New York, right? Full of big buildings and sophistication, etc. And actually, I live in Murska Sobota, a place where we have a lot of nature. Everyone has a house, basically big house, let's say. And you have trees and nature, and we have free education, and we have free insurance, etc., etc. Something that doesn't happen in New York. I mean, nobody can have a house. So when they offered me the possibility, I said, look, if I'm moving here, I'm moving with my family, and what I need is to have something similar to what I have there. So this person asked me, can you send me some photos? So I said, perfect. I sent the photos, and at the end, I ended up living in a house with gardens and trees and everything paid for free. Amazing. And so we moved with the family. It was an incredible experience. And then I started finding out that I don't like anymore to work in technology. And I started to find out that I disagreed with the values of the company where I was working, right? So I asked my wife, what do we do? Should we return to Slovenia? Because if we would decide to change my work, I would have a very big problem. And that big problem was that in the US, you have to pay your private insurance, and we had to pay $4,500 a month for having basic health care. A part of it, if you move from the company that offered you a free home, you have to move somewhere else that you can afford paying. And if you do that, that means that your children will have to move to another school, probably of less quality. In America, the education system is very different than ours. So you have to choose a good school. The public schools are normally not good, even dangerous. So I said, you know what, let's return to Slovenia. And we did it. But that meant a huge change in my life, because I had to decide what am I going to do next. And I had 39 years old, right? So I was thinking, Jesus, I'm going to get my freaking middle-age crisis very soon, so I better prepare. So in the whole process, right, I was raising my family together with my wife and my 2 sons. So you can imagine that the pressure of going back and starting again from zero, building up a new personality, because I was not going to be the IT pro anymore, was a very big challenge. But I wanted to show this because, well, most of you are very young, so I guess that you didn't start your family yet, but it's one of the most important things, at least for me. They were always with me, they always supported me, and that was my community, let's say, because me as a foreigner, I was never able to establish the kind of friendships I had when I was in Peru. So I'm deciding to go back to Slovenia, and I said, okay, what I like. And what I like is traveling. And as some of you know, the ones I talk to, I love eating. That's why I'm here. And so I said, let's see if the community of people I met in my past is interested in the same stuff. And the first thing that I did is to ask them, hey, can you tell me something about me? Can you give me feedback about how do you perceive me? And they told me crazy things that I was not expecting, because I thought they were going to say that I was a very good business people, or person, or a manager, or entrepreneur, or something. Nothing. No one. 20 persons. No one said that I was good at what I was doing. What they said is that they like to spend time with me. So how the hell do you make money out of that? Right? So I was worried about what was the next step in business terms. But anyway, I said, let's try to explore. I'm going to start traveling and inviting people. So I brought the persons that went into the conference to my country, to Peru. We went to Machu Picchu, and they enjoyed, and it was awesome. I went to Slovenia, and I took my boat, and I started navigating with some friends. It was awesome, and this is how I felt, right? Very, very, very happy, but without money. Actually, in one of these trips, I went to my country, to Peru, and this was taken some, I think it was 4,500 meters high. This lady was alone, sitting down there, and we stopped because we were out of air, and because we wanted to ask her if she wanted our food that we were not going to eat. And I will not tell the whole story because it has something to do with sex either. But the real part is when she comes to me and she says, guessed that I was coming from Lima. I was born in Lima. And she said to me, then that means that you are somehow of an ignorant. And you have to know that we in Lima are well educated. So we usually think of them as being the ignorant. So then I said, and why do you think I'm an ignorant? Because the people from Lima usually think that they know. Oh my God. Everything changed that moment. Because I had to go forward thinking on how ignorant I am. So when I returned to Slovenia, before I tell you that, I was talking with one beautiful lady here. Where is she? There. She's not single, okay? And I was telling her that life, that I found in this process, that life is not a process of discovery. So I don't have to discover what am I good at, or I don't have to discover what I like. It's more than that a process of creation. Okay, so take it into your head. And that means that you're responsible for what you are going to be doing, right? So that means that you have to create what is your next step. That is a decision, and that is what we understand as entrepreneurship. So if you are trying to find your passion, if you are trying to find what are you good at, you are starting in the wrong way. Create it based on what you already know about yourself. Right? Okay. So, there in Slovenia, I go to one conference. It was an international conference, and they were speaking in Slovene. So one of the keynote speakers jumps up and says, I cannot believe that all the keynote speakers are speaking in Slovene when this is an international conference. Can't we learn from failure? And that was another very important moment for me. So I ask myself, is it possible, especially as a South American, is it possible that we are not learning from our mistakes? What happens with failure? So I started to organize an event about fear and failure. Now, if I tell you what's your fear, you're normally going to say something superficial. If I tell you, have you failed? You might think a bit, and you will find some failures somewhere there. Not so important. But what happens is that fear, we're not talking about fear of spiders or heights or speaking in public. What we are talking about is what is really on the back of yourself that is limiting your capacity of growing as an individual. So we organize this stuff. Today we are having presence in many countries in Europe, and it's going fantastic. And I've learned a lot from people. And I personally defined entrepreneurship as a process of discovering which are your fears, and as a process of finding out that working with your fears will make you feel that the fear is your friend, not your enemy. Okay, but I can talk hours about this stuff. In order to grow the initiative of Fear and Fail, what I had to do is to move around Europe. And one of the things that I did was to go to the Impact Hub. That was, for me, the dance academy if I would be a dancer. I found myself in all these people because the vibe of social entrepreneurship was exactly what I was looking all my life, and I don't know what I was doing in technology, actually. But then when I reflect upon the past, I find that there was a thread, and probably that was I was not so good at technology. And I was inspired. I thought I would love to have a co-working space. But the place where I live has only 20,000 inhabitants. It's a rural area. The majority of the people doesn't want to get into entrepreneurship or business or anything related. So I did it, right? I found the sponsorship of a bank that they gave us the space. And we said, we are going to make a co-working only as a statement in order to say that in our rural poor place, we can have a co-working. It took a time, and today I can tell you that it's moving very nice. We're helping people, no, we are allowing people to help themselves, and we are watching how they are changing their lives one by one. Then, so the conferences of Fear and Fail were going on, right? The co-working space was going on. And then what I found is that some of the co-working spaces that I met along my trip started taking a lot of care on their members, the individuals. But suddenly, they forget about them because they have to make enough money to sustain their business, right, to cover their expenses. And as they grow, they have more expenses. So what I did is to think, what is missing? And we created this new platform. It's called The Glue. And what we want to stick is people and business opportunities. And how do we want to do it? By finding in the market or in different countries, people that loves and thrives to connect others. Right? So that's why it's the glue, right? So the agent of gluing people and opportunities. So I learned a lot. I already told you some of the things I learned, but I got in love with this girl. It was in Copenhagen, I think, and I was just like a tourist taking photos, and she found out that I was taking a photo of them, right? And she decided to smile. So what I'm trying to tell here, that the most important thing I found so far is that people is the thing that matters. It's not business. Business happens. It's not the professional development of yourself. It is the capacity of understanding that the others are what you care about. Then I had to make a question. Then if it is so beautiful to see people to smile to the others, why are we not doing it? Do you have an answer? Yes? Could you say? So what happens is that we are disempowered. The majority of us are living a life of illusion where we think some things should be one way, and that way of perceiving our reality, right, disempower us. And we go too often into a stage of pessimism or criticism and in a space of inaction. So the most important thing I learned that I want to share with you is precisely that the empowerment starts with you and ends with you. And in order to empower yourself, you have to know that you can do it. You have to create it. As I explained before, life is a process of creation. Life is not a process of discovery. So if you are in social entrepreneurship or any kind of entrepreneurship, you need to understand that it's not a precondition to make money. It's a precondition to empower yourself. That's the only way you will empower the rest. So that's all for me. Thank you so much.